Kia ora, Year 9. This video we're going to talk about how to add or subtract fractions with different denominators. Now from the previous video we actually learned that we can only add or subtract fractions with the same denominators. So now if we have a look at this example here, we got one is 3, another one is 2. So the way we actually do it is we can find the lowest common multiples of 3 and 2. So which is 6. What that means is we're going to change the denominators to 6 for both fractions. So now you need to ask yourself, what did I do to 3 so that I can get 6? So I'm going to find the equivalent fraction of the 2/3 to something over 6. So I know that when I was looking for the equivalent fractions, I need to multiply the same number. And for this case is I multiply by 2, I get 6. So I need to do the same thing to the top numerator as well. So multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 will give me 4. Now let's have a look at second fraction here. I'm going to change this one to equivalent fraction with the denominator of 6. And from 2, I know that 2 times 3 will give me 6. And that means I need to do the same thing to the top, multiply by 3. So therefore 1 times 3 is 3. Now we have fractions with the same denominator, and all we need to do is adding the top numbers together, which is the numerators together. So that is 4 plus 3. So therefore the answer is 7 over 6. Now let's have a look at the second example here. We have denominator of 10 and denominator of 2. So the lowest common multiple of 10 and 2 is 10. Now if you're really struggling with finding lowest common multiples, there's the easiest way. You ask yourself, the first denominator is 10, the second denominator is 2. So can I do something so that I can change this 2 to 10? So we know that 2 times 5 is 10. So because we don't want to change the value of the fraction, so whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do the same thing to the numerator. So that would be times by 5 on the numerator as well. So now what we have is 5 over 10 plus this half become 5 over 10. 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10. So now we have a look at these two fractions. They have the same denominator, which is 10, and we have 5 plus 5 for the numerators, and therefore it is 10 over 10, which is 1. Now let's have a look at one more example here. I have half take away 2/4. Now if you look at it, I actually use a really simple example, and you probably can tell that if I can simplify this one, this is half take away, simplify this will give me half. So half take away half is 0. Now let's have a look at another example here. We got a 4 over 5 take away 4 over 10. And again, the aim is to have the same denominator. And this is 10, this is 5. So I know that if 5 times 2, if I multiply 2 to 5, that will give me 10. I don't want to change the value of the fraction, so I need to do the same thing to the top number as well. So that will give me 8 over 10 take away 4 over 10. Now we have the same denominator, so what we can do is over 10, and the top numbers take away the second number, so that will give us 4 over 10. Now please remember, if your final answer can be simplified, you need to simplify the answer. So we can see that both the top and the bottom can be divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the answer is 2 over 5. Obviously, this same question actually has another approach, because what I can do here is I can actually simplify the second fraction. So that will give me 2 over 5, and that will give us the same denominators of the 5. Okay. Now let's have a look at the last question here, which is 2 over 4. 2 over 4 plus 4 over 5. We have different denominators, which is 1 is 4, 1 is 5. We want to make sure that they have the same denominator. And the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. Now, again, if you're struggling with finding the lowest common multiples, for this case, we can think in this way. The first denominator can be multiplied by the second denominator. That will give us 20. And the second denominator can be multiplied by the first denominator, which is 4. Now, we cannot change the value of the fraction. We have to make sure that we are getting the equivalent fraction. So that means whatever we do to the bottom must be the same to the top. So we multiply by 5 both to the numerator and the denominators. So for the second fraction, we multiply 4 to the denominator. That means we also need to multiply 4 to the numerator. Now let's have a look. 2 times 5 is 10, so this is 10 over 20. Plus, we have 16 over 20. So now we have the same denominators, and all we need to do is add the numerators together, so which is 10 plus 16 over 20. So the answer will be 26 over 20. Again, ask yourself, can I simplify this fraction? The answer is yes, because both top and the bottom can be divided by 2. So that will give us 13 over 10.